in the last 7. I just wonder if that comes as a sort of frustration as they try and make headway in the top 8 or 7 places in the Premier League. But with Arsenal leading 1-0 at the break, Andy, we said it was vintage Arsenal with the way they took the lead. Was it also old Arsenal in the way they switched off for the equaliser?
They never really came out for the second half, Arsenal, not with anything like the same intensity. And they conceded a goal. It was a sloppy one. It was really poor. It was avoidable. We'll see here a free kick that they concede at the top of the screen. So now you've got to get back in your positions and you react and you start to communicate and make sure that you've got everything sorted out. They don't really do that. If you actually look at Aubameyang, if he actually goes and stands on Max Meyer, that's the shortest distance he's got to travel. That would then allow Kolasinac, the left back, to go and pick up Kouyaté definitely and stay with him. Instead of that, Aubameyang sort of jogging back into the box. The left back thinks, do I go? Do I stay? What? In the end, it goes wide. Too much room for Max Meyer. It's actually not a great cross, but it finds its way into the box, and the next minute, with the deflection, it's in the back of the net. It's preventable, Wrighty.
Yeah, it was.
Was he offside? Close?
I don't think he's offside. I think David Luiz, maybe his feet, you're so close nowadays, you don't know. I think you can see maybe Maitland-Niles' foot, but like you say, Anne, you're right to point out, those are the little things that I'm sure that Mikel Arteta will be looking to address, because those are the problems that Arsenal have had in the past, where you just switch off at the wrong time, and Palace have taken full advantage of it. But when you consider that they've gone down to 10 men, Palace, and the way they play, me and Andy was talking about it, is that they don't put the kind of pressure on you that you're thinking that they were going to go on and end up winning the game. And then we saw Arsenal nearly nicked it with the one with Pepe.
Yeah, well, there was a bit of a lucky finish for Jordan Ayew's 6th goal in the Premier League. I mean, he clearly has done pretty well since he's arrived, in the summer.
He's having his best spell, I think, since we've seen him here playing in this country. He scored some good goals. He's up there on his own. He's playing for a team that don't create a lot of chances. So it's not an easy position, that one, for him, but he's making the most of it at the moment.
Arsenal, of course, finished with 10 men, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang giving his marching orders. There's no real debate in the decision. No. Although at the time, when you both first saw it, you didn't really see the actual veracity of it.
No, you didn't. And because you look where it is in the field, it's on the halfway line. I think Max Meyer does magnificently for him, even if because you look at it, it's nasty. And we're seeing maybe he's got a little bit overzealous in respect to what his manager wants him to do in closing down, but we know he's not a nasty player. But that was a foul. He was a little bit out of control, and you could see how it turned Max Meyer's ankle across, and it was a red card, unfortunately, for him.
Again, not intentional. It does happen. You're asking players to be competitive. You're asking players to get tight to it. Every now and again you get that sort of situation. But again, it was the right call. That is a very dangerous tackle potentially on Max Meyer.
It prompted a spirited response really from Crystal Palace. But then Arsenal had themselves a terrific chance to maybe sneak all 3 points. Pepe initially with the shot, and then Lacazette with the follow-up.
Yeah, it was a good strike. You're thinking Kelly's got to close him down, get a lot closer. But what happens here? The goalkeeper gets a hand on that. When we see it from the other angle, I know it came out a bit quick for Lacazette. I was thinking, can he lift it over him when you're that close to the keeper? Look at Kelly there. Can he get tighter? Good save, and they were very lucky in the end that that didn't go in, because, like I say, Palace, when Arsenal went down to 10 men with that Palace crowd and the way they could get behind them, I don't think they put Arsenal under the kind of pressure that Arsenal were going to will, and that is why they've got what is it, 10 goals now at home?
Yes.
So that's what you want to see from Palace. Well, I'm sure Palace fans want to see them go at teams more at home, get Wilf in the game more, because Wilfred Zaha, because I thought Maitland-Niles played him pretty well simply because he didn't get on the ball a lot.
OK, time for a quick break on Match Down today. 6 left to play. Later, Chelsea host Burnley, Everton take on Brighton, Leicester face Southampton, and Manchester United against bottom club Norwich is our feature game during Goal Rush. Wolves entertain Newcastle, and we end the day with the big one. Tottenham minus Harry Kane, of course, as they take on the leaders Liverpool in the standout fixture. The Reds starting the day 13 points clear at the top and aiming to go unbeaten in 38 games. So no change as far as the two sides at Selhurst Park are concerned in the table. Arsenal, well, they remain in 10th position. They now have 28 points from their 22 games played. Palace stay 9th, a point ahead after their 5th draw in 7 games. At Selhurst Park, as you can see, the Guns...
Explain what message you gave to him to change his mind, really.
The first message for him was I wanted to understand how he was feeling. Why he was feeling that way. I wanted to hear from me my opinion on him, and that I was ready to support him. I was ready to push the club to be supportive with him too, because I thought that he could be a really, really good player for us, and he could enjoy in this football club playing under me. And I tried to convince him that way. He thought about it. He had a very positive response afterwards, and I think he changed his mind.
Can I ask about David Luiz? Because everyone's noticed a big improvement in the few games that you've been in charge. He seems to have really sort of stepped up and taken on the sort of leadership role. Is that something you've actively worked on with him?
Yes, that's what I wanted to demand to him. He's a player that has won more trophies than anybody else in that dressing room, and we have to use that in a very powerful way. I wanted him to step up. I wanted him to put all the qualities, his personality and his experience towards the team, and he made a big step forward. I'm very, very pleased with him.
He seems to be really sort of committed as well, which in the past at Chelsea there's been times when he's been up and times when he's been down. Is it the case of becoming more consistent at a later stage of his career?
I hope so. The games that he's played under me so far has been terrific. His attitude in training, the way he communicates with his teammates, his desire to still learn, it's superb. So I'm delighted with him.
Mikel, can I ask about Dani Ceballos? He's obviously back fit again now. He's been on the bench last couple of games. Given that he's going to go back to Madrid, it seems, in the summer, how highly does he feature in your plans over these next few months, and what sort of role do you see Dani playing for you?
Now he's getting much closer to fitness levels that I expect from him to be competing with his teammates. Obviously, he had a long-term injury. He had an adaptation to this league. I know him really well from Spain. I watch him many, many times. He's a player that can fit our style, and now he needs to make a step forward and put things difficult for me, for my selection, because I think now he's ready to step in.
When you say he fits your style, no one's really known what his best position is. Is it in the midfield too? Is it higher up as number 10? What do you see him best as?
I like him more when he's closer to the box rather than always coming deep to receive that ball. Defensively, he can play in a 2 rather than as a number 10. I don't really see him as a isolating number 10 playing with 2 holding midfielders. He's a very creative player.
The Gunners are leading Crystal Palace by 1-0, despite the fact that both sides have had the same amount of goals on target and off it as well. I mean, that's barely reflective of the first 45 years.
No, I think that Arsenal have been very dominant in the game. In the possession, the closing down, the fact that Palace, and you see them set up like this on many occasions, very negative at home, getting the 2 banks, 4 and 5 and then 1 all in their half. Towards the second half, and they did move another 10-15 yards up the field and made it a little bit more difficult for Arsenal, but I think it's been very, very comfortable for Arsenal up to this point.
You can see, right, you can see Arsenal are drilled, they're coached, they know where they should be. When they lose the ball, there's an intensity to get it back. I've been very impressed with what I've seen in that first 45. The worry for Arteta, they're only 1 in front.
Yeah. Have Palace made life unnecessarily difficult for themselves by the amount of space they've allowed David Luiz?
Well, only because we know that David Luiz, his main strength is the fact that he's a very good footballer. And, when you look at this, you've got Jordan Ayew. He's up on his. I would put myself on David Luiz. He's the playmaker. Yeah. I would stop David Luiz from playing and let them pass it to Socrates. And as soon as the game started, I'm noticing the pattern is David Luiz has got far too much time on the ball. Palace have got the 4-5-1, so there's not a lot of space for Ozil to operate. But when you've got someone like David Luiz with his ability, look where they are now, on the edge of Palace's box. Yeah. You're going to get the link-up play, and then all of a sudden they're playing in the last third. Kouyaté goes to him. That's what you want to do. You don't want him to have it back. He gets it back, and look where Kouyaté is. Now he's in their half, and he's got that ability. Great touch from Ozil. All of a sudden, Lacazette's in their space, and then the finish.
How good a goal was that?
It's a fantastic goal, and that's what Arsenal are capable of, and even more so when they're confident. And if you're going to give David Luiz that kind of space, he will hurt you, because you've got players with the touch of Ozil who can. People say, he's not done much. That touch, what he just done there, was sublime.
That's a Man City goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a Manchester City type goal. Fast ball into a striker, lovely one touch, great movement, bang, and he loves it. You can tell the coach
he's
really
talking to
loves
David
it.
Luiz there, saying well done.
18 passes in the build-up. I mean,
Yeah.
that's almost Arsenal of old, isn't
Well,
it?
that's what Arsenal do. But like I say, when we started talking about the game at the start, it's about organising. So once you're organised, you're then comfortable in what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you want the ball. You're popping it off, and like that goal was perfect.
It's fair to say Aubameyang's movement has caused Palace all sorts of problems. But when they're out of possession, Arsenal do look like a different animal.
Well, they do, and there's a little clip here of Kolasinac, who's been really prominent again in that left-back position, flying forward. If you look at him here on the left-hand side of the screen, he's available. He's basically screaming to his teammates, whenever you want to pick your head up, this is where I am. I've got tons of room. Look, he's desperately wanting it. When they lose possession, it goes into the middle of the park, they lose it. Watch his reaction to get back into his 4.
Wow.
Sprinting back.